At the dawn of independence, theatre and literature were going through a renaissance in Uganda, with a number of exciting new creatives and thought leaders in the field rising to prominence at the time of the nation's birth. In June 1962, Makerere University hosted the first African Writers' Conference. The literary event gathered some of the finest writers of African literature in the English language in sub-Saharan Africa. Officially called the Conference of African Writers of English Expression, it drew parallels to the largely francophone Congress of Black Writers and Artists that had been held in France in 1956 and 1959. Both conferences were organized to address the impact of colonialism on African literature and to chart a collective path forward for African writers in regard to African representation in the art form. The Writers' Conference at Makerere was the first of its kind on the African continent. The Ugandan contingent present at the conference included author Okot Bibitek, playwright Robert Serumaga, linguist and literary theorist Pio Zirimu, dramatist Elvania Namukwaya, and the Ugandan Indian founder of Transition magazine, Rajad Niyogi. Some of their contemporaries from across the African continent who also attended included the likes of Wole Soyinka, Chinua Achebe, Rebecca Njau, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, David Rubadiri, William Block Modisane, Louis Nkosi, Grace Ogot, Frances Ademola, and from the diaspora, Langston Hughes. Even the local music scene was starting to blossom. The most widely listened to genre of music in Uganda at independence was Kadongo Kamu. The late Christopher Sebaduka is considered the father of Kadongo Kamu. The genre was, however, popularized by Fred Masagazi, Eklas Kawalia, and Eli Wamala in the early to mid-1960s. The state of indigenous cinema in post-independence Uganda was not as promising. The alienation of native Ugandans from the medium is documented in American scholar Jane Banfield's 1964 article for Transition magazine, titled Film in East Africa. In the article, Jane Banfield says, "The Ugandan Film Unit is a department of the Ministry of Information, Broadcasting, and Tourism under the direction of two Europeans who worked for the Crown Film Unit, both on a 2-year contract with UNESCO to train local producers. Sometime this year, the African staff will take over the unit fully and consist of a producer, 2 directors or cameramen, an editor, and a newsreel unit." Elsewhere in the article, she says, "The exhibition of commercial films in commercial cinemas is yet another story. The viewing audience is small in both absolute numbers and in proportion to the population. The East African market cannot demand or expect to receive much time or attention from the major producing companies. Cinema prices are high compared to other forms of entertainment. The audiences are largely Asian, with a small European and small African audience." On attaining independence, it is clear to see that building a cinema culture was never a real government priority. The high production cost of film, the lack of film infrastructure, inexperienced personnel, and the limited financial resource of the new government relegated cinema to the bottom of the barrel of government development activities. The practice was seen as a luxury in a country still struggling to expand the provision of basic needs like healthcare and education to the masses.